Every sports fan has an opinion. Well, these are ours. Welcome to Brock and Pep's Unsportsmanlike Convo.
Right.
And here are your hosts, Brock Fleming and Pep Cariotti.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is July 13th, 2021. I am your host, Brock Fleming, and with me, as always,
I'm not your boy, toy. I'm
Just a sexy boy.
Pep Cariotti on the other side. Pep, how you doing, bud?
I'm good, buddy. How are you doing, birthday boy? Hey, we have a 43-year-old co-host today.
43. Eesh.
Hey, buddy.
43 years ago today, greatness was born.
Hey, happy birthday to you, my friend. I'm glad we were able to get out just an hour ago to have a quick drink over by in your neighborhood. There he is.
Mike Ferreira has woken up from the nap.
There he is.
Working out. He's training his butt off. He's like Rocky these days. I see the big tire and the big sledgehammer going to work. You want sledgehammer stuff? Why don't you take out my deck and put some stones?
Hey, listen, man. Mike, when he works out, like when he goes to that level of like CrossFit style stuff, it's pretty intense. The guy can lift.
Yeah, he's a strong boy.
He's a strong boy.
From football to door manning and all that kind of stuff too. Like he's had to be physically fit to protect himself. He enjoys soccer, or I don't know if he plays soccer or if it's just in his culture. I don't think he's not really built like a soccer player. Let's be honest. But Mike's a big boy.
He's nimble.
At our age, nobody's nimble anymore. You know what I mean? Like these are adjectives we used back in high school. We were nimble. Nobody's nimble anymore.
But even when we were playing, like we played the Buckingham League 20 years ago, he played nose tackle, and he got quick feet. Like he's quick hands, quick feet.
Yeah. When was that? Sorry.
This would have been 2003, I guess, 2002.
Yeah, right. 20 years ago.
Long time ago.
Nimble 20 years ago. Things change, Mikey? But hey, keep working your butt off. It's miss you. I haven't seen the guy in person in forever. He's going to show up. He's going to have like a 12-pack or something like that.
Oh, yeah. He's going to be fitter than fit. Those big jackhammer Popeye forearms that he always has, those big brown eyes, too.
And then he'll be smiling at me. Oh, Pep. You get all shy.
Yeah.
I love you, Mikey.
Well, happy birthday to you, pal. This is your day.
It. Yeah, I appreciate you guys coming out. The UC production crew, all three of you guys showed up with us at the Lone Star tonight, which was a lot of fun.
It was hot.
It was hot, a little rainy, but not too bad. But yeah, it was hot, humid. But hey, I'm sweating usually by eating that many fajitas at that point anyway. So it is what it is. It was good to see you guys in person. Once we start, we just talked about it. Imagine if we are in a spot where we have a patio and we say, you know what, we're going to be doing that, and then we can do the show live from that area. Would be amazing. And I can't wait to get back to that. And hopefully that'll be sometime, maybe the end of August, beginning of September. Oh, big dog.
Big boss man.
Thanks, Kwame. Appreciate it. I'm surprised. He didn't. I don't know if he knew it was my birthday or if he's tuning in because I wrote some things about the soccer game after the final, and Brockman commented. I threw out the hook there on some of the guys I knew was going to really bring him in, and K Dog was one of the guys that got sucked in by some of my comments of the soccer game.
Hey, big boss man is now the. Now, Kwame, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I'm probably not saying this correctly, but he's now the head coach of Ottawa West Soccer. So, we're a huge soccer fan. Head coach or runs the show, or
like president or something like that, even.
Which is pretty great stuff. I mean, soccer obviously is a huge sport across not only Ottawa but Ontario and Canada, and it continues to be a global sport. So, that was pretty funny. that was pretty good stuff. You know what? I played soccer sevens, is what they call it, I think, when you play indoors in 7-on-7. And it was probably big boss man. It was fun.
It was good. The penalty kicks the penalty kicks, although some of the English players had the kips, but the penalty kicks were exciting. You know, you think that one guy
They were,
and they think that that's going to be it. Like there's no other way of doing it unless you miss the net. Well, you missed the net. And apparently it's harder than it looks. I don't know why. And whatever. Kwame can correct me again if I'm wrong. So he's a technical director, which is even a bigger label than being a head coach. So he's organized everything, which is awesome. But from a penalty kick standpoint in a soccer, would you not try and hit those top corners each time? And you're supposed to be so good. Just shoot them top corner. Those are almost impossible to stop, I thought. I don't know why they're getting all fancy and trying to do the timing and all that kind of stuff. Overthinking.
No, I don't think that's an automatic. I don't think it's an automatic. If the goalie guesses the right way, he can get up there. It's just about guessing the right direction, really.
You got to guess
really
the right direction, and then you got to get to that corner, which I feel like is hard. You can guess and be down on the ground, fine, but I don't understand why it's not. Anyway, again, I am not a soccer player, nor am I a soccer enthusiast, nor do I apparently understand the soccer game. I watched it, but I know nothing on 3 different levels. So it is what it is. To me, I thought when I play FIFA, I'm going for those top corners, and those are hard for the goalie to stop, the computer goalie to stop. That's all I got.
Mike, our executive producer, just chimed in the background here. He says you almost have to guess the correct quadrant, which actually is probably a better term. That's a good call, Mikey.
All right.
Mikey
says it's a lot harder than you think to hit top corners like that. I'm sure it is. It's just like hockey. It's hard to hit the top corners. I don't know, but professionals can do it whenever they want. These guys should be able to kick the ball into those corners. If not, that's what you work on. Same with your free throw. Free throws aren't automatic unless you practice it over and over. Anyway, I don't know. FIFA, yeah, Mike, you're right. Mike, our producer, Mike, is right. Top left, bottom left, top right, bottom right, or you kick straight at the middle and hope the goalie moves. Those are the 5 options you have when you're playing FIFA, and that's all. Anyway,
absolutely, Kwame. Yeah, I mean, hitting the top. I mean, just elevating the ball and having it curve that direction, and then getting the goalie to guess and getting up there. I'd have to find the dimensions of the actual net, but it's definitely like 10 feet.
Yeah, it's like I think 14 nautical miles by feet up. It's ridiculous.
Woo! Birthday boy's on fire, Kwame.
Hey,
Birthday boy is on fire.
Paying attention, Kwame, and we should almost figure out how he can call in, but I'm using my phone for the thing. Anyway, why don't they get rid of this offside rule? So to me, as a amateur, less than amateur soccer observer, this whole offside where it's a moving offside, like the defense just has to be in front of the offensive player when the ball is kicked in order to be offside. Why does that happen? Why don't you take the offside away and let's open it up a little bit to some, I don't know, long bombs, or some Yager guy wants to sit back there and wait for the ball within the crease or in that area and say, well, defensively, you got to watch for that or whatever. I don't understand why they still have this offside. To me, that's the most irritating thing in sports.
But the offside in soccer, isn't it just the top of the goal crease? That's where the offside imaginary line extends to the sidelines, is the top of the goal crease. It's not a huge amount of space to get offside. I'm sure this.
It's wherever. Again, who am I talking? I don't know. My understanding of it is that when the ball is kicked, an offensive player is further in the offensive zone than the last defensive player, you're considered offside.
I believe that is correct.
Which means you would never have anybody already behind the defense when the ball is being kicked. So they got to time it up, I guess, maybe to almost maybe a running start or something where the ball is being kicked. Then now you can run past. Here we go. Let's get Kwame's got the defenders are essentially a moving blue line in hockey terms. Okay. Well, remember when hockey had the red line? Sucked. And then you took the red line out and it was a lot more offensive. Can we do that with soccer? Anyway,
did that work actually though? Teams adjusted and now it's suffocating. Offside at the start of center field, but the offensives.
Offside starts at the center of the field, but the offensive players has to be in front of the defensive player.
Got it.
I'm exaggerating. It's not a spelling mistake. It's
got it.
See, okay, so I was right, but again, I don't know. I feel like there's a way of. Yeah. All right. Let's move on. We're going to keep the boys starting to tell who's on first. That's correct. We are. Right. When it comes to soccer, who is on first? He's on second. What's on second? Oh, okay.
I don't want to toot my own horn, but for a 7-game streak during my Soccer Sevens career would have been 2013, I scored a goal a game. Okay.
I feel like the dramatic pause was for some credit.
Thanks. All right. Why don't we move on to
that's the whole story?
That's all I got. Let's get on the headlines.
I did too until I said, I just want to play baseball. And my parents finally let me. We have the official, I don't know if we want the definition. Producer Mike fact checked that a player is in the offside position if any part of the head, body, or feet is in the opponent's half, excluding the halfway line, and any part of the head, body, or feet is nearer to the opponent's goal line than both the ball and the second last opponent. Okay, who is on first? Because none of that. Moving on. Next, okay, we're
headlines.
Headlines. Let's go. Oh my goodness.
Mikey was my teammate.
Headlines with Brock and Pep.
All right, we weren't supposed to go right into soccer like that, but it just happens to play out that way. So we got some headlines. There's a lot of big things that happen in sport.
Well, we are approaching what I would call the doldrums, like the lull, the summer haze of sports, where everything's done pretty much soon. Like the NBA finals will be done in probably a week, and then it's basically baseball and NFL training camp until September. So
you're wearing a jersey of a league that wasn't mentioned.
Oh, I really, you know what? It's funny when I talk about that and I don't bring up that's embarrassing.
It is
embarrassing. As a league that I chose to be when we did our poll of our favorite football leagues. I chose the CFL. How do I not bring that up? That's embarrassing. And of course, there are going to be fans going to the game soon, which is going to be exciting. So what I just said, scratch what I just said. CFL is a big part of my summer. I'm looking forward to it. But when we talk about professional American sports, it's going to be baseball the rest of the way, folks, for the rest of the summer. So, but last Wednesday, just after our show, Game 5 of the Stanley Cup happened. And I'd say to most people's expectation, Tampa Bay won Game 5. Montreal pulled out a great Game 4 win, but it never felt like it was convincing. It never felt like Montreal was going to go on this 3-game run and tie the thing up. I didn't see it. I thought Tampa would win 4-2. They ended up winning 4-1. Tampa Bay. Now, let me ask you this, Brock. Did it hurt the Habs to not play Tampa all year because they never got used to the speed, size, and style of play? Did that really hurt the Habs in this series?
I think that's a stretch if you're going to blame on the fact that they hadn't seen Tampa. There were a couple good teams in Canada that they were playing against. I mean, you talk about speed, you're playing Edmonton. You talk about, even the Leafs have pretty good speed. The Jets have pretty good speed for a lot of it. Like they played some really good teams this season that I don't think that makes a huge, like Tampa's good, but Tampa's not, I don't know. I thought the Islanders gave them a really good fight. The Islanders came close to maybe pushing that to a 7 and see what happens, but
so did Florida.
You know what I mean? It's just Tampa is good. Tampa matched up well against Montreal, I thought. I think the wind in the Montreal sails sort of really came out when I don't know if Price is subpar the first couple of games. It was a bit more pedestrian. Mm-hmm. And then Game 3 was the one that really got away. And once you lose the first at home, like the wind in your sails have got to be pretty shot. If they win Game 3 instead of Game 4, it's a totally different series, in my opinion. But I don't know. I don't think it's because they didn't see Tampa all year that was why they got beat that way.
I mean, just what Tampa now is a 2-time back-to-back Stanley Cup champion. They're going to go down as one of the best teams to ever play because, when was the last back-to-back? We've seen teams like the Blackhawks and Penguins win like 3 in 6 years or 2 in 5 years, whatever. But we haven't seen a back-to-back. Maybe one of our fact checkers can look this up. I'm going to guess the last back-to-back was Pittsburgh.
Penguins 93-92.
Was that what it is? That would be my guess. Maybe we can look that up.
Red Wings? When were the Red Wings good?
I don't think the Red Wings ever did the back-to-back though, and I don't think they won. They should have won more with that roster. I don't think the Red Wings went back-to-back. Colorado, maybe. Anyway, we'll look that up, but it doesn't happen very often. It hasn't happened in a long time, and
these Tampa's are 2 weird years too. You know what I mean? These are not normal years for them at all. So you have a shortened season in a dome type situation, and then you have another one that is, you're limited to your region, and so you're limited to who you're playing. The travel's limited. Fans are limited in a lot of different arenas and stuff too. So it was again a completely different feel. So the back-to-back are winning on 2 non-traditional years. So how does that play in?
That's a great factor. I'm going to give Tampa the benefit of the doubt because they finished first in the league.
Pittsburgh 16-17.
Yeah, I just saw that from Mike, so I don't even remember that. It's odd. But if you look at Tampa,
there's a thing on all the Conn Smythe Trophy winners in the last while you posted, and Sid's back-to-back. So I'm assuming that's probably this year's.
Makes sense. Tampa finished first in the league the year they got swept by Columbus in the first round. That was going to be a year that they probably would have won too. That was in the year before the pandemic. So, and then the year before that they got trounced early too. But again, finished first in the league. So they've been on a 4-year tear, and they happened to win the cup the last 2 years. And the fact that you bring up the point of it being non-traditional, I mean, that's an excellent point. But we can talk about that across the board. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers won a very non-traditional, no training camp, no this, no that. Then we could look at basketball. The Lakers won in the bubble. What's happening now with Phoenix and Milwaukee, which we'll get to a little later. That's an excellent point. I mean, I think only time will tell. I don't know if we're going to be able to see that particular roster again. They have a lot of free agents coming up. The word on the street is that this will be the last time that group plays together. Guys are going to be leaving next year.
Cap, aren't they?
They're over the cap. They've got to make some tough decisions, and we'll see what happens. But can they maintain their core? I think there's enough there to maintain Braden Point and Killorn, and they have guys that they were rolling out 4 lines like pressure. Montreal was just like bum rushed the first couple of games. It was wild.
So who do you think? Well, whatever. We're not going to get into their roster and who you think is going to not be there to, try and make the cap room and stuff like that. Whatever. I'm tired of Tampa. Moving on.
I just think they have I don't even think it's important. I think they have so much depth that if they lose 2 core guys, I mean, by the looks of things, like this Gord or whatever his name, the last name was Gord. He's great. I mean, they had guys that were coming out off the 4th line that could have played on the first line. Anyway, it'd be interesting. Montreal just extended their coach Dom Ducharme for 3 years. I don't love it. How do you feel? Are you impartial?
I'm more impartial than anything else. I think at this point, what were the options? You know what I mean? Like, who else was out there that would be somebody who would fit in the Montreal organization? The background, the French heritage, that kind of stuff, coming off of from a Habs fan base, their point of view. You just took us to the Stanley Cup where you shouldn't have been there. Realistically, you shouldn't have. And so you exceeded expectations, and when you exceed expectations, oftentimes you're rewarded. So again, from in the coaching world, you're guaranteed three seasons, but that doesn't mean you're going to be coaching for 3 seasons. So he's still got to produce moving forward. But that's payoff for what you did this season. And that's what sports is. You get paid for what you've done, a bit on potential, but obviously it's more of what you've shown over the last little while, especially in coaching. So I think he got his due after this season alone.
When I say I don't love it, I don't mean it doesn't mean I hate it. I actually understand it. I think he did a good job. I think I really liked Luke Richardson's opportunity when he had a chance to take those 3 games over. I
get a shot somewhere else, maybe.
Luke deserves a shot if he wants one. I mean, some of these guys like being assistants, right? You get the glory without the pressure if you win. And I don't know. I like Dom Ducharme. I think he's a little young. Well, he comes across a little young, but they know, like you said, he knows all the young guys coming up, the Ryan Pollings and the Caulfields and all these guys that came up. Michael Ferrer does not love it at all. Michael Ferrer doesn't like anything that isn't Leafs related. Not a big fan of Pierre Maguire either.
Who's Richards?
Richardson, I think is what he means. Richardson.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right.
Mike, I tend to agree, Mike, but then again, Dom Ducharme has been with their organization, and all the young guys coming up have gone through him in the minors, and then promoting him makes a lot of sense. Just like the Toronto coach, it's a similar trajectory with the young players coming up with him, and they wanted his name slips my mind right now, but their head coach, was with Marner and was with all those guys in the minors as well. So, what's his name? Sheldon Keefe. That's right. Thank you. All right. So time will tell. The jury's out. I mean, actually, maybe the jury's not out. He took a team to the Stanley Cup. So I like your perspective, Brock. I'm going to go with that myself. I'm going to be positive. I'm going to be optimistic. And Dom Ducharme deserves an opportunity to coach this team. If it's for 3 years or 1 year, he deserves a chance.
All right. So you heard it here first. Pep hates him, but he's going with the
All right. Moving on to something we talked about a little earlier today, and it's a very when you dig a little deeper, it's a very interesting trade. At first, it comes across like, hey, it's a big name coming on Edmonton's way and kind of what they needed. But if you dig a little deeper into the stats and the career and the miles put on, it's an interesting trade. Duncan Keith, who turns 38 this Friday, 16-year vet in the league, was traded from the Chicago Blackhawks. That organization is an absolute disaster, train wreck with the sexual allegations and all that nonsense.
Yep.
He gets traded to the Oilers for a 3rd-round pick, and Caleb Jones, who is Seth Jones' brother. So that's, the trade for Edmonton. He had 4 goals and 11 assists in 54 games this year. So he's not lighting it up like he used to. But again, it was 54 games. He still averaged 23 minutes. So he played a heavy load. But he definitely slowed down. His skills definitely have diminished. And did they give up too much? Are their expectations of him going to be too high to come in and save the defensive day for the Oilers? What do you think of this trade?
Where did Chicago finish?
Well, they started off gangbusters. They were one of the pleasant surprises early on, and they ended up finishing middle of the pack, I believe. They definitely they missed the playoffs.
The Central Division. So 24 wins, 25 losses, 7 ties. Okay.
But they started off well. They were 5 or 6 games over 500, then they just sort of hit the wall. Where's Jonathan Taves, by the way?
Why? He wasn't playing?
No, he's been off all year. Like he was they put him on the long term. He was ill. So people thought he had COVID, then it wasn't COVID, and then people thought he's sick, and no one's heard anything from him all year. So it's a very weird thing. Chicago.
Very little news I found from any other division other than the Northern Division during the season. Like throughout our Canadian sports broadcasting.
Yeah, for sure.
Found it was very Northern strong, which, again, is to be expected to a point. But at the same time, guys like Jonathan Taves and stuff who are also Canadian, has a big following. You want to know what's going on with some of these guys. With the Keith situation, this could be really good because, over time, guys start to lose a step. We talk about it. Our friend Mike Ferreira is not nimble as he used to be. We're not as nimble. That happens. This guy's going to be 38. But you start to learn, again, we talked about it before, your skill starts to decrease a bit, but your knowledge and your technique and your understanding of the game goes up. So at some point you sort of meet that. Now he's probably past that, but he brings a real good, solid veteran defensive presence to an Edmonton team that doesn't really have a lot of problems putting the puck in the net. They got a lot of offensive skill. Having somebody back there who might be able to manage the power play a bit more, keep some of the young guys in check and understand where they got to be playing and be able to focus on maybe just that side of the ice as opposed to in Chicago, he was relied on or, they wanted him to produce a bit more from the blue line, between him and is Seabrook still there?
Seabrook is still there.
They had
Brian Campbell for a couple of years.
Yeah, a few years back and stuff too. you know what I mean? I feel like the expectations were them to be scoring, and they were scoring for a little bit in their heyday, but I think that Edmonton might be a real good spot for him in terms of rejuvenating his career a little bit, extending it maybe 2 or 3 years versus if you're in Chicago and you just don't have that surrounding cast, plus all the other issues and stuff like that. If those things are going on, no matter what, it's going to affect your psyche a little bit as a player. So, you hear these things in the news and the organization is getting scrutinized. It just is what it is. You're not in the playoff hunt. It can go down pretty quick. To go somewhere that wants him, that can use him, and has a different attitude, you know what I mean? Because Edmonton's on the rise. They've been, they're disappointed by the playoff this year, obviously, but that should make them pretty hungry. A good young core group of guys that are hungry to go back and say, look, let's get over this hump. And I think Keith might be able to fit in fairly well.
Well, when you say they're all in on him, they're literally all in on him. They're taking on his entire salary. There were expectations in the offseason that any trade made for Duncan Keith will require Chicago to eat some of his salary. Edmonton's taken it all. So they're definitely committed to this trade. And the guy's proven to stay healthy, number one. And number two, he logs big minutes. So maybe in Edmonton, he might not have to take on that amount of minutes. Who knows? And maybe there's another deal coming up that will help support him on the back end. So it
may not be public, an agreement between the two organizations of some sort. Yeah, we'll take this on, but we got something else in the works we're looking for, or whatever.
I mean, I don't hate it. I think for both teams, it's time to move on with Chicago, obviously, and then Edmonton's an up and coming team. So we'll see what happens there. Jonathan Taves, we hear from Kurt, one of our executive producers, chronic immune system disorder. I would assume, just based on that title, that COVID definitely would have been a really, really bad thing for him to catch. So with that, with that disorder coupled with the certainly COVID, that would probably mean why we haven't seen or heard from him. So Brock's a softie for the old guys. Someone feeling a little older today. Okay, thanks, Chris. Be. Very good, very good.
I got a softie for I was going to make a comment on his age, but it was going to come out completely wrong. So I stopped that pretty quick. But you're right, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah. All right. Tongue twisted for a second.
Oh, Michael Ferrer's dad has a comment.
Yeah. So when he heard about this trade, apparently he laughed
and said he was too old.
Too old.
You know what? Brock's dad. Brock's dad too, but Mike's dad is savvy old vet when it comes to these kind of trades. They say what's on their mind. It's their first instinct. They don't rethink things. Kids got a softie. All right, moving on. It's time for our weekly Aaron Rodgers update.
No music for that, so don't panic, Mike.
No. Well, I don't know what to say. He played in that charity golf thing over the last week or two, and
awesome.
They asked him point blank questions about the Packers, and he kind of danced around it a little bit. And then at the end, he said, "Look, I'm taking 2 weeks. I'm loving my summer. I'm taking 2 weeks, and I'll decide after that." Decide what is the question? Whether you're going to come back to the Packers?
Yeah, he's going back to the Packers. There's no other choice. And I've said it, he's going to be either retired, sitting out, or he'll be with the Packers. He won't go to a different team. They won't trade him. He's getting his mental health and stuff in order. He's going to be refreshed and rejuvenated for the season. He's not missing anything from these OTAs and training camp type stuff, other than making a point at the same time saying, you know what, I'm going to get myself in order and make sure that I'm ready to go. He'll be ready for Green Bay, I think, this season. I don't think there's any other options for him.
Why wouldn't you just say that if you're him, though? Why wouldn't you just say, look, I'm taking these 2 weeks, but I'll be back fresh and ready. But you won't find me for 2 weeks, but I'm coming back to the Packers, and that's it. And because now
he likes to keep the media on their toes, the fans on their toes. He likes to keep the Green Bay front office probably on their toes. You know what I mean? So if I'm coming back, but I might make you sweat a little bit. I might, I'm not ready. I'm not in a position to say, I'm coming back, because what does that do? That opens a lot of questions of what changed and what do we need to do and what's this? And now they're talking about the Green Bay season, where it's like, hey, I got 2 weeks. I'm going to be enjoying this. It's still my vacation. I'm going to golf more. I'm very good at it. I'm going to go to places and do that, whatever. there's no advantage for him to say other than somebody who might be like doing their fantasy football draft within the next couple of weeks. There's no benefit to him to say that I'm coming back to Green Bay 100% draft me so I can make you $50 in your fantasy football pool.
Mike, our executive producer, says his motivation is to win the PR game, which I think he's successful in. He wants pressure on the Green Bay front office. I'm old school, I'm old school. If you deal with everything in-house and, if in public, if you have no intention of leaving, then don't plant the seed like you're leaving, but you deal with it in-house, pressure them internally. Everything gets out, and then he comes across as very lackadaisical. Oh, maybe I did say this, maybe I didn't. Like, just call a spade, because Green Bay at some point is going to say, you know what, we're not going to sacrifice our off-season plans, not knowing if you're going to come back. No. So
what are they going to say? They're going to say, you know what, we're just going to release Aaron because we're tired of waiting for him to find out what's going on. Nope.
You know what? I'd love to look up NFL players who try to pull that, like pressure on the organization, and the organization called their bluff. Brett Favre, could that be considered? They're retiring, then retiring. I guess that'd be the closest. I wonder if there's any players in the NFL.
But that's not them calling his bluff. He retired, or maybe he said, "Oh, I'm going to retire if you don't, whatever." If that's maybe something, and then he retired, so they called his bluff. He retired, and he says, "Screw it, I changed my mind. Now I'm going to sign with your rival." Like, that's not the team winning by any chance. They're calling their bluff. So at the same time, you can release him. And then you're not owed him any money other than what's already guaranteed in the contract. And even that might have a stipulation in terms of playing or something. I don't know. But you can release him and say, you know what, fine, we're going to move on with Jordan Love. But at the same time, Aaron Rodgers is on the other side saying, you know what, basically, I have no comment is what's going to happen. And you guys get Jordan Love all camp, and let's see what that looks like. So there's, taking a chance. If Jordan Love was lighting it up right now in all of the workouts and getting ready for training camp and really connecting with the receivers and really whatever, that might have backfired on Rodgers. And he says, you know what? Yeah, maybe we'll release him because Jordan Love is the real deal. I don't think that seems to be the case. So, whatever. Green Bay's not going to release him. They're going to be there holding the little gift bag and stuff like that for when Rodgers shows up. And that's just the way it is.
Yep.
He's making a point. They still didn't go out and get a lot of weapons for him. They still didn't necessarily address the holes in their offense or give him any more weapons to be an MVP with, other than drafting the Amari Rodgers out of Clemson. Otherwise, you know what I mean? It's status quo. So I don't know.
It's so crazy how one play can do all this. Like, and I look back to that one play right before halftime where Brady hits Scotty Miller on a deep fly route, really, right before, and it's 14-10 going into half, and they have one play left. Brady hits Miller in a deep route. It's 21-10 going into halftime. Tampa's deflated. They make a game of it, but then they make the controversial call at the end of the game. So, well, two plays really. Then, if you think about it. But Green Bay was the better team on paper. Green Bay should have won that game. Green Bay should have been representing the NFC in the Super Bowl. And if that happens, what are we talking about in terms of weapons? Davante Adams is probably the best receiver in the NFL. They had a very good running game by committee, good offensive line. I mean, did he make the tight end better? Absolutely. Did he make the slot receiver better? Yeah, totally. But there was enough there to be that close.
Yeah, but they're also this close. We have 6 torn Achilles in the CFL and stuff already this year, and torn whatever. They're this close to Davante Adams tweaking an ankle or pulling a hamstring, and then what? The only reason the other receivers are any good is because Adams takes a lot of attention away, and Rodgers can throw the ball on a dime to whoever. So you're almost forced to catch it. You take Adams out of that equation, I really don't know what Green Bay has in terms of a passing efficiency on offense.
Good point.
And again, you talk about in-house stuff. Producer Mike brought it up, and producer Mike's a Green Bay fan, so he's been following this for years. Rodgers has asked for help and for maybe bringing in another quality, proven receiver for multiple years, and they haven't done anything. So, at some point, you say, let's hold it in-house. That's fine, in-house. But if I'm addressing something and you're not doing anything in-house and multiple times, then yeah, maybe I'm going to start to use some pressure on the external. So say, hey, the fans are like, why aren't they going to get people? Why isn't Rogers asking for more help? And why whatever? Hey, I am, but nothing's happening. My neighbor's walking down the street with a Red Blacks jersey on. You can see CFL fever is in the area.
In the house.
Yeah. Anyway.
I like it. Hey, listen, I compare Green Bay when it comes to a franchise in the NFL. Like if they had a little brother or a big brother, it'd be Pittsburgh, and they do the same thing. They don't buy into with the pressure of the public and the media. Hey, you got to get this guy. Go and spend some money. They don't do that. They draft in house and they develop in house. But when push comes to shove, and Ben Roethlisberger said, "Look, I need a big receiver. Either draft one or sign one." They do, and they have. So they listen to their franchise quarterback. I don't think the same could be said that in Green Bay. I don't think the front office have said, we'll give you whatever you need to keep you happy. No,
they've clearly not done that.
Yeah.
Bruce Mike brought up the other play in that game was the fourth quarter, third
brutal,
down, where Rodgers didn't run. So that's on him. But at the same time, I think I don't know. I felt a sense of spite from Rodgers for a little bit at the end of that season.
His face. Yeah, I mean, he's got something on him for sure. But anyway, I'm interested to see what happens in a couple of weeks when things get serious with training camp and they got to get ready for the season. But moving on, did you watch any of the home run derby?
Sure did.
I like it. I like the format. I like the 2 minutes consecutive and then the extra bonus, and it's entertaining. They got, rather than just have guys going and whoever hits the most moves on to the next round, they have two guys going one-on-one. I really like that. Awesome event. Terrible presentation. Brutal. The split screen, it's awful. And the reason they do it is because the whoever's pitching to the hitter is throwing a ball, then really just throwing another one without waiting to see if the home run went out. So what happens is the screen just it chimes into the last hit, and then it cuts right away to the next hit, and you never really see the ball, the trajectory of the ball, which is the beauty of a home run. Really, is there anything more majestic than a home run in sports? It's really nice to see. It's cool to see. I didn't get, and I think the winner hit a ball that ended up being 510 feet, but I didn't know. I didn't see it. I mean, it was awful. They got to figure something out.
How would you suggest? Because I rewatched. I had the Derby in 30 minutes or whatever it was this morning.
Scrap the 3 minutes then. Figure it out where you get 20 pitches and you don't throw the next pitch until the ball is landed. I don't know. I mean, it was average it out. How many pitches were thrown in that 3 minutes? Take the amount of that, maybe shave off 10 or 15 pitches and just give a set amount of pitches that you get. Because that was just
3 minutes are going to be 20 minutes because there's no time limit on it. So you're like, okay, I'm going to do 30 pitches. Well, 30 pitches in a baseball game, that's at least a whole inning. So that's 10, 15 minutes, I don't know.
Hey, listen, it started at 8, it ended at 10:30. So
I think it's tough from a production standpoint to sort of keep everybody happy.
Did you like the split screen? Did you understand what I was talking about though? Because I made a comment on our show page yesterday. Did you understand what I was getting at in terms of just getting dizzy and nauseated?
Yeah, I whatever. I got your comment. I took a look at it too, and I was even looking at the stream to say, oh, am I on a different channel? Because I don't see as much of the split screen as you were seeing, but it was, and I didn't really notice a whole lot. I was more focused on just the swing. I didn't really care to see where the ball went necessarily. So I wasn't watching the hit and then flipping to see where it went with my eyes, which I could see being annoying. I was really focused just on the batter. And I kind of, I knew when he hit a home run. You know what I mean? You can hear it, you can kind of see the swing, and or if there's something that was maybe iffy, then I would see if it went, or I'd be watching the counter. But I would be kind of focused on that side of the screen, so it didn't affect me as much as you, I guess. But
producer Mike brought up a
quick shout out to the authorities in Denver, and so I don't know if you read this or not, but
yeah, I did.
There was a multiple 16 long guns, body armor, and hundreds of rounds of ammunition from a room in a hotel that was located right near Coors Field. Actually, the balcony overlooked the downtown area, and with the All-Star festivities and stuff like that. And they basically said like this would have resulted in like a Las Vegas style shooting, but it was one of the maids, I guess, in the hotel that noticed it, called authorities, and they sort of got on that. But it's scary to think of where that could have been and what was going on there. There was, I guess, a note left too that it was kind of somebody was going out in style. But 4 people were arrested, and thankfully nothing happened. But shout out to the quick action by authorities over there.
Yeah, that's scary stuff. And I mean, and no one's going to expect it, right? You're at a baseball all-star game. I mean, that's not exactly it's just crazy stuff. Yeah, congratulations to them. Our producer Mike said he agrees. I agree with you, Pep. I don't know how they would fix it. They tried the view from behind the plate, it was kind of grainy, actually. I thought maybe that might work if it was like a wider view, but it was really grainy, that maybe because it was getting dark. But I thought maybe a triple split screen, like, because all you really need to see are the last 2 hits, and one's going to land, so you can kind of like at least keep your eye on one home run at a time in its completion. If you have the batter and then ball 1, ball 2. Again, I'm just grasping at straws here, but
so your solution for something that is giving you a headache from a split screen is, here's what we're going to do. I want you to take that
another screen,
split it again. We're going to go 3 wide. Hey, I don't think that's the way they're supposed to go.
No, listen, I don't work for Samsung. I don't know what I'm talking about, but all I know is that it was not the greatest presentation. However, the drama was there. I loved the last round.
Put on by Samsung? Or is that just the brand of your television? Because they're not the ones that put the show in the TV.
Samsung.
Okay. This is getting off the rails.
Moving on. Rob Manfred, the Major League Baseball's commissioner. Is that the right title?
Yeah.
Says 7-inning doubleheaders and the extra inning runner will likely be dropped in 2022. I know you're not a big fan of I know you are a big fan of the additional runner on for extra innings. 7-inning doubleheaders, like why take that away? I like it. I like the fact that it's, if you're going to sit in
both of them.
Yeah, so do I. Actually don't mind the extra inning runner anymore. I've sort of gotten used to it. But hello.
This guy's getting pretty cozy there.
Yeah, he looks like he's getting cozy. I don't know. What do you think?
Are they replacing it with something, or they're just going back to what it was before?
I think he alluded to the going back to the way it was.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. I think they need to speed up the games in extra innings, especially during the regular season. I think that was a great way of doing it. I don't know what the stats are and how long the longest extra inning game went this year, but I don't think it was any more than, I don't know, 11, 12 maybe tops. But, gone would be the days of the 18, 19 inning game where you got Ryan Goins pitching and stuff like that. As much fun as that is, maybe do that. Say, okay, instead of a runner on second, you need a position player to come in and pitch starting in the 10th. Say, well,
now you're talking.
And, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. They got to do something. So I really don't know why they would take that away. And the double inning or the double header 7 inning makes complete sense in terms of time and everything as well. So again, and also those shorter games favor the Blue Jays, in my opinion, because there's less room for the bullpen to come in and screw it up. So maybe that's why we're a fan of it. I don't know, but I don't know why they would change that.
I think as I'm a traditionalist for the most part when it comes to sports, but I am also very open to improving any game, whether it's hockey, baseball, basketball, football, tennis, whatever.
Soccer?
So I don't really know how they would improve soccer, but yeah, if there's a way to improve the game, make it more exciting, make it safer, whatever. And this is, I thought the shorter double headers and the runner on second at the very least brought a different element of strategy to a game that's 200 years old. It was a different thing. I liked it. And it's a great segue to my next topic. The Super Bowl weekend usually starts with that week off, right? And they have the Pro Bowl or whatever. It's awful. They should replace the Pro Bowl with a game, 2 games. The bottom 4 teams in the league, rather than tank and have the last quarter of the season mean nothing for 4 or 5 teams, how about this? The bottom 4 teams in the NFL play in a mini tournament that starts on the week before the Super Bowl. So you got the worst team versus the 4th worst team. You got the 2nd worst team versus the 3rd worst team. The winner of those games goes on to play on Super Bowl Sunday right before the Super Bowl, or maybe a couple hours before, whatever. And then the winner of that game gets the first overall pick. And then they follow suit after that. It takes away from the tanking of the bottom 4. I'd say the next 5 or 6 teams that don't make the playoffs, there might be in the running to make the playoffs anyway, so they may not tank. I think it fixes the tanking issue just like that. It makes the week off relevant. It keeps football relevant during that ridiculous week off. And the Pro Bowl is useless. Just nominate a bunch of guys that are all-stars, and boom, there you go. The Pro Bowl is awful. What are your thoughts on that, buddy?
Well, basically, that idea is exactly what we do or did with our fantasy football league, right? So you want to give
Seriously?
these guys, yeah. So we would have you either make the playoffs, so the top 8 make the playoffs, and you're fighting for the money, or the bottom 4 are in a consolation bracket, and you're playing for the first overall pick. Keeps it interesting, keeps you something to play for, whatever. And maybe, stop tanking. But at the same time, what happens is that the 4th worst team in the league who just misses making the playoffs or just misses the cut of the whatever is often still a better team than the worst place team. So now if you're playing for that first overall pick, the team that actually needs that first overall pick, like if we take out scheduled and planned, organized tanking to get players, let's say we remove that, the team that needs the player the most and the help the most is likely not going to do very well in that tournament. In which case you say, look, you suck. Now you're drafting 4th. So you got the top 3 picks are gone because you're not going to win that tournament either. You're going to finish 4th now. So you're the worst team, but you're always picking 4th. You're never going to get better. But not never. I mean, the 4th overall pick is still pretty good. I think it was Alan Pitts this year. Kyle Pitts. Alan Pitts. The old Stampeder. Kyle Pitts.
I love it.
But I just think that was the issue that kind of came up with our league, was like, if you're not trying to tank, there's got to be some integrity there from a not tanking standpoint. Add that to the standpoint count, whatever happens to be. But the teams that suck, if they're penalized by this little tournament as well, then they're just not going to get better fast enough.
Okay, so let's just, well, fantasy football aside, let's say you're right. Let's say that the worst team will just never get better because they'll play the tournament and they'll lose and they'll end up picking 4th. But there's ways to move up in the draft. Like if you're picking 4th, you deal a guy here, you deal a guy there during the season, you stockpile 2 first-rounders. Suddenly that looks pretty attractive to the team picking 2nd. Yeah. I mean, there's ways to move up. There's ways to do it. It isn't always just like, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and the team who picks 4th is just never going to get better. I don't know. And, we've seen in the past the first round picks, sometimes they don't pan out. Like
here's something. Show me a team that's garbage, but has an awesome GM. You know what I mean? So
Jets.
This GM is not pulling these trades. He's not conveniently moving up and figuring ways around it. No, he's not. They're garbage for a reason.
That's a good point. That's a good point. I still think just keeping the games, trying to keep them relevant anyways, and then making that off week, relevant. Pro Bowl's junk. That's really my point. But yeah, you make some excellent points. That's a good call.
Pro Bowl used to be the week after the Super Bowl. You talk about useless.
Yeah, I mean,
Super Bowl. Now at least they move and they fill in that week of like, hey, we're going to be doing something.
Yeah,
they don't need the Pro Bowl. Give everybody their bonus. I think it's in Florida now anyway, so it's not even like Hawaii,
which players loved. Players loved going to Hawaii for the week.
They would just use the money that they got for being in the Pro Bowl to fly their family out and have a party for a week. Great, do that. Participate in the. I want to see the O lineman challenges. I want to see
you're talking
challenges. I want to see Do I want to see them play dodgeball? Not particularly. Do I want to see them blow out Achilles on the beach sand football thing they had there? I don't know how many people got injured doing that. No, but like, position specific type stuff. So they used to have it. Larry Allen ripping out friggin' 400 pounds for like reps like it was nothing, and then driving sleds. Anyway, that kind of stuff. Hey, that's fun. Do that. But they don't need to play a game. You don't need any Sean Taylor on
the kicker.
Yeah, what was his name? Do you remember?
I can't remember the kicker's name, but he was just blown up.
Wasn't that a Bills kicker?
Was it a Bills kicker? Might have been. Was it? Jeez.
Anyway, I think it was a Bills kicker. I think they got lit up. But needs that.
I love the NFL what was it, Pro Skills or whatever they called it. I can't remember what they called it, but I used to love it in the 90s. Dan Marino, and they'd have the accuracy throw. They'd have the
golf carts driving by where you'd
golf carts. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Or like Manning, he dropped for the long throw. Remember, he dropped back and he actually shuffled left, like he was avoiding hits, and then he would throw the ball, like just character. It was fun.
Right. And even back then, they had the receivers would do like the fastest receiver. They'd have to catch the ball with one hand, run routes. It was like cool stuff.
And that was new too. They had jump balls. Yeah, you got to catch one hand in this circle, and you had
do it. Forget the Pro Bowl. Just do that. And the NBA's the NBA skills weekend is more entertaining than the NBA the All-Star game. It's not even close. Like I'd rather watch the dunk contest, which is awful, and the 3-point contest, and then that little mini skills thing that they do. Heck, I'd rather watch the celebrity game than watch the actual All-Star game itself. So, NFL, something to think about. I don't think they'll ever change it. Just they're so traditional in the NFL that getting any kind of change in the NFL is really tough. Brian Moorman, good memory, Brock.
Moorman
was a Bills kicker. Yeah, he was a punter. Really quickly, the Suns and Bucks, they've played 3 games. I don't think anyone's watching. And I'll tell you, it's really good basketball. Like, it's actually not helter-skelter up-tempo. It's good, solid pick and roll, a lot of ball movement, a lot of player movement, two teams that are well-coached. But to say there's no star power might sound silly because Chris Paul's playing and so is Antetokounmpo. But, like, there isn't. There isn't. Like, Chris Paul's a pass-first point guard, and Giannis can't shoot. So there really isn't any star power. It's boring. I've fallen asleep during 2 of these games, and I'm trying to, stay in touch with the games. And, like, do you think that hurts the NBA overall to not have LeBron, not have any star power, maybe no Durant on the East side and no Leonard? Like, is that keeping you from watching, for example? Or have you watched? I mean,
I don't think that's the reason I'm not watching. I've watched some. I think the ones in Phoenix are a little bit later too. It definitely has to hurt the NBA not to have your stars in there. Like, again, LeBron James, love him or apparently the majority hate him. Love him or hate him, people are going to watch. They either want him to win or they want him to lose. But when you don't really have that polarizing sort of figure within the championship, Antetokounmpo is great, Paul's good, Booker, that kind of stuff. But is there anybody on there, even if it was those are nice guys type, where I'm just like, I can't stand that guy. I want to watch it to see him. Just like they promote these stupid fights. You know what I mean? I don't want to see Mayweather get knocked out by a YouTuber. Yes, I'm hoping that happens. Is it going to happen? No. Do I hate this Big Paul, Logan Paul, whatever? Yeah, I hate enough that I'm going to pay to watch. Hopefully somebody beat him up. That's just what sells now. You need to have something invested. If they're not your team, you need to have some sort of emotional attachment to it. So you got to love somebody or hate somebody to that degree to watch that. And Phoenix and the Bucks, other than the Monstars, the 2 brothers for
Lopez.
Well,
they only have the one on their team right now, but yeah,
that would be the reason I would watch is to watch Lopez lose. That would be the most emotional attachment I have to that game. So that's probably part of it.
I think you nailed it. All the guys you mentioned, nice guys. Like Chris Middleton, nice guy. Antetokounmpo, nice guy. Drew Holiday won the Sportsman of the Year for it's like the Lady Bang or the Selkie or whatever they call it. Like, nice guy. And then you look at Phoenix, Chris Paul, nice guy. Booker, all these guys. DeAndre Ayton, their big man, like great guy, super guy, great draft pick. but like all nice guys. So there's no inherent rivalry. Like I don't even think the Bucks and Suns play that much during the season. So like it's taken some time for the blood to boil. I think Milwaukee's going to make a series of this. They won the last game in Milwaukee. I think they win Game 4 as well. But no star power, I think, is affecting viewership. I mean, I'm a huge basketball fan, and I've fallen asleep twice. So that really says it all for me. I want to ask you about moving on really quickly. Khabib, I can never pronounce his name. He's the UFC guy. I can't pronounce his name. Great fighter. He doesn't fight anymore. He actually said, he's on record as saying that McGregor is done as a top fighter. Do you agree or disagree?
Well, his comment came with the fact that he's getting a bit older, wasn't a big kicker sort of to begin with. Now with the broken leg and what he's going to be rehabbing with that is not going to be any better. So he kind of, given the situation and where he is as a fighter and where he was as a fighter, now with the broken leg and what he's likely going to be returning, he doesn't think that he's at that elite level anymore. He sells and he will sell tickets, but he's not going to be a fighter at the level he needs to be. So he can promote them, but he's probably going to lose. I think he's probably right. I think Conor had some issues already with this one. Again, he's the best promoter probably fight-wise that we've seen in a long time. Mayweather is up there. But I just think to a point, sometimes I feel like from a fighter standpoint, boxing's different. You know, Mayweather can go in there and dance around for 12 rounds, not really get hit, throw a couple punches, whatever, not knock somebody out. A very unentertaining fight, still win, still be there. With the UFC, you can't do that. You can't just run around the ring and hope not to get hit kind of thing, because they're going to grab you and they're going to do some damage to you. What I find is that fighters like Conor who start to lose their edge, you got that chip on your shoulder, you got that I need this for my life, for my family, for whatever. I'm willing to sacrifice everything when I'm in that octagon to get where I need to be. Conor McGregor is there. He is a millionaire. He's got multiple businesses. He's got a beautiful family. He's got everything you would ever want as a result of fighting. Now that chip is not on his shoulder as much anymore. He's not going in the octagon as like, I'm leaving it all in here because I got nothing to lose. Now he's sort of on the other end. And I think at that point, you start losing your edge as a fighter. And I think that's where he is right now.
Yeah, I think I could not add another word to that. That's pretty much how it appears. You know, he's kind of had a little bit of a change of image over the last 5 years. I think he's been humbled in the ring. I know he comes off as, a Poirier, like this wasn't a legitimate win, this and that and the other. But deep down, I think he knows, you don't just break your ankle like that. Like, I mean, it's wear and tear. It's years of kicking, that's what happens. And, he no longer has that sense of invincibility that he used to have in the octagon. When McGregor was fighting, he was imposing and he had the snarl in this and he'd fight well. He's no longer like that. People know that they can beat him. People are no longer scared of him. They're not intimidated by him and his Irish accent and the way he's around the ring. And, when they'd have the face-offs, he'd bat his fists right in front of no one cares anymore. And I think he's lost that sense of invincibility. And I don't even think he's trying to be that guy anymore. So I think you're right. I
think the biggest tell would be if we get the doctor's surgical report that says, did you option A, get your legs set and are going to heal naturally and then try and fight, in which case I feel like he's done. Or did you option B, because you're worth $1 bazillion, change out that bone with a carbon rod that is going to be like Wolverine when you go back in the ring, you're not going to feel any pain and it is impossible to break. In which case I say you're coming back for some more. But that's what I would have done.
That's good. Excellent. We're running out of time, but hey, listen, I wanted to mention Team USA has lost 2 in a row to Team USA basketball, all-world team, of course.
The air horn when we say they lose, but you're getting to a point that they lost to some pretty good teams, and one of them includes an Ottawa GG.
Hey, listen, when we think of Team USA basketball for the Olympics, the first thing that comes to mind is a dream team. and the best team that's ever assembled. So people still have that, like the dream team is the standard. Well, guys, it's no longer like that. Like it's even after the dream team, the 96 team and the 2000 team, like other countries were catching up. Like they were playing good basketball. And, we're seeing, Nigeria has like 5 NBA guys on the team. Australia had Aaron Baines and Patty Mills and guys who've played in the NBA and aren't afraid of these guys. Canada, Mike, lost to the Czechs in the qualifying in a very disappointing fashion. Terrible refereeing. And I'm not being biased. Awful refereeing, actually. And Canada was loaded with NBA talent. Loaded. They had, I think they were 10 deep. 8 of them were NBA starters. So Canada should have qualified. It was a very disappointing loss. It was really a tough one.
Shot too, wasn't it?
Last second shot. Shouldn't have been. The refereeing was atrocious. So that's what you get though with FIBA basketball. The referees are notoriously awful. But USA lost to Nigeria and Australia. I think the only people that are really surprised are the Americans. The rest of the world understands that these games are close. Are you surprised? Does it matter? It's exhibition. What do you think?
I'm surprised. Doesn't matter. Proud of the Ottawa Gigi player who is I'll say his name properly. He led the Nigerian team. Caleb Agata.
Great player.
I saw some of his highlights. Darren Joseph posted it, tweeted it, a little highlight package there of him during that game against the U.S. And he's playing against NBA stars, and he was playing awesome. So
a couple of great players on Nigeria.
But then Australia beat them too, so maybe anybody can beat them. No,
Australia,
we'll see what happens.
Yeah, for sure. And the last thing I wanted to talk about, I know we're a little bit over our time, but what's new there? I wanted to ask you about, we talked about this a little bit today, but we didn't get into too much detail. Stephen A. Smith came out and said he does not believe Shohei Ohtani, who is all world, all just like baseball is version of Babe Ruth, like modern baseball anyway. He came out and said he does not believe Shohei Ohtani can ever be the face of MLB because he needs an interpreter to communicate. What are your thoughts on
that? I tend to agree. I guess it like you said, what is the definition of being the face of a sports or not even organization, a sports league, to that a global sports league even. Baseball is pretty global. So realistically, the Asians have their own league and stuff as well, but we bring a lot of players over who make it. He's arguably the best player we've seen in our lifetime when you see from a skill set point of view to begin.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
He's leading in home runs. He's a lights out pitcher.
He's starting tonight, pitching wise.
He's starting, and he was in the home run derby last night. You just don't see that. No. Now, you've brought up that maybe the Angels is where you go to sort of fly under the radar from a career standpoint. Mike Trout is Mike Trout. Everybody knows Mike Trout, but really from what Mike Trout has accomplished in his short career, he should be
multiple winner.
It should be statues by him almost. It's crazy how much he's done and how little you sort of hear about him. And I think Ohtani, the fact that he doesn't speak English is probably one extra deterrent. I don't know. I think it comes with the definition of how can he be the face? He could be the face, put him on all the billboards and stuff like that. He just may not be the voice of MLB.
And, in a sports world where, you see a lot of selfish people and you see a lot of people who do a lot in the community, he's I saw him pick up a broken bat. He was pitching, guy hit a broken bat, dribbler, and caught it and out. And the bat broke right in front of him. He ran and picked up the shred of bat that was left and handed it to the bat boy. Who does that? He ran out of his way to do that, and he did the old the little bow. If you want a face of any sport, you're gonna want a guy like him. Courteous, and thoughtful. You want Curtis and to be courteous. But
baseball.
That's what you want. That's what you want to represent your league, is a guy like him. There he is. Boom, Karate Kid. So I think Stephen A. Smith needs to. I mean, again, we've used this term a lot, but stay in your lane, Steve. What do you know about being the face of anything? Like, you've never played a professional sport. Just what are you talking about, bud? Stay in your lane and talk about what you know about. And you don't know anything about what the face of anything looks like. Okay. I mean,
that's what these guys get paid for. Like, that's why we know these guys. The Stephen A. Smiths, the coward, that kind of stuff. Like, they're trying to antagonize people, and that brings,
it's working.
Yeah. You've reached out to Coward a couple times. You've so irritated by comments he makes. You know what I mean? Again, you talk about the NBA and what they're missing from these NBA playoffs. You need to love somebody or hate somebody. Same with everything else. You got to love them or hate them. So I think we need to start being a bit more unsportsmanlike, and then we'll get some more people watching in here.
Maybe. All right. Well, that's all I have for us today, guys. And that's all we have. Sorry. That was fun.
Well, it's always fun, Pep. Here's the thing. We're going to be on hiatus for at least one show. July 27th, there will be no show of the UC. I don't know if that's the right soundtrack. Ding. I don't know. But there is no show on July 27th. There's really no sports at that point either, but I'll be on vacation. Pep will be having a well-needed social break as he starts his softball season.
Hello.
Real softball.
Looking forward to it.
So it's not the lob ball, whatever. You actually got to.
It's orthodox.
It's what?
What's that?
What'd you say?
Do
you have to wear a helmet when you're playing this one?
You don't have to, but it's recommended. But you don't necessarily have to. The catcher's in full gear though. There's catchers in a crouch, and
I'm gonna buy you a helmet with the face mask.
Oh, I don't mind that at all. But I would probably not wear it. But you don't. There is a league. There is a similar league that's run by the city that requires you to wear a helmet. In not only in the batter's box, but in the when you're on deck. So there you have it. It's not our league though.
You got to give us your schedule because I think producer Mike and I are going to go watch you.
Come on out. We'd love to have you. It's at DV Pines for most of the games, and there's one at Grove. I think that's Stittsville. I remember Pep's totally wearing a helmet. Okay. Okay, Mikey.
Oh.
Hey.
Our friend's on vacation too, so it's perfect. That's the other reason we're not on week. And we'll see. I don't know if you guys are figuring it out next week or not. I don't know if I can do it from Wasaga Beach, but I'm gonna try.
We'll give it a try. And worst case scenario, we'll do. I'll get our executive producer on when we'll get Curtis on too, and we'll figure something out.
Curtis might be with me down there.
There you go.
Okay. Well, I want to thank everybody who sent me well wishes and birthday wishes today and stuff too across all of our social media platforms. I really appreciate it. Thanks to my wife and kids for taking me out for supper tonight. Thanks to you guys for showing up. That was awesome. And we're going to go out to, here's the thing. If you have not seen and you like hip hop music and have not seen Rhythm and Flow on Netflix, do yourself a favor and watch it. It's a show about finding the next hip hop superstar. So it's kind of like an America's Got Talent or like American Idol type thing, but it's not all set in the same place and they travel around the country, but it's Chance the Rapper, T.I. and Cardi B trying to find it. But the production value that these artists are able to have as they go through it are awesome. I was going to play one of them today for the outgoing song, but I did not find a radio version. So it was got some swear words in it. So I'm not going to play it, but D Smoke was the guy you want to look up, and he's got a song called Last Supper. It's very good. Anyway, take a peek, but we're going to go out to my son's choice today. It's a song by Masked Wolf. I don't know if you've heard this one or not. It's called Astronaut in the Ocean. Guys, appreciate it.
I like it.
Till next week or a couple weeks after. Be safe. Enjoy the summer.
What you know about
down in the deep, when your brain goes numb, you can call that mental freeze. When these people talk too much, put that shit in slow motion. Yeah, I feel like an astronaut in the ocean. Ay, what you know about rolling down in the deep? When your brain goes numb, you can call that mental freeze. When these people talk too much, put that shit in slow motion. Yeah, I feel like an astronaut in the ocean. She say that I'm cool. I'm like, yeah, that's true. I believe in G-O-D, don't believe in T-H-O-T. OT. She keep playing me dumb. I'm a player for fun. Y'all don't really know my mental. Let me give you the picture like stencil. Falling out in a drought. No flow, rain wasn't pouring down. See, that pain was all around. See, my mode was kinda lounge. Didn't know which way to turn. Flow was cool, but I still felt burned. Energy up, you can feel my surge. I'ma kill everything like this purge. Let's just get this straight for a second. I'ma work, even if I don't get paid for progression. I'ma get it. Everything that I do is electric. I'ma keep it in motion, keep it moving like kinetic. Put this shit in a frame, better know I don't blame everything that I say. Man, I seen you deflate. Let me elevate. This ain't a prank. Have you walking on a plane? Both hands together, God, let me pray. I been going right around, call that relay. Pass the baton, back in the mall, swimming in the pool, can't drink them all. Want a piece of this, a piece of mine, my piece of sign. Can you please read between the lines? My rhymes inclined to break your spine. They say that I'm so fine, you could never match my grind. Please do not waste my time. What you know about rolling down in the deep? When your brain goes numb, you can call that mental freeze. When these people talk too much, put that shit in slow motion. Yeah, I feel like an astronaut in the ocean. Ay, what you know about rolling down in the deep? When your brain goes numb, you can call that mental freeze. When these people talk too much, put that shit in slow motion. Yeah, I feel like an astronaut in the ocean.